If you have decided to learn a language, it's so important to know how to greet and say goodbye. But when do you say Hallo and Guten Abend in German? That's what you are going to learn in this lesson. So let's start with number 1. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Guten means good and morgen means morning. As you can see, it's actually the same like in English. In English, we would say good morning. This greeting is used in the morning. For example, when you come to your work colleagues in the office. It doesn't matter whether the person is your friend or a teacher. You can use this for every person. It's impolite not to respond to this greeting. The expected answer is Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. But you can also use the short form morgen. But it seems a little more informal. Attention! If you come to work too late and the boss greets you in a serious tone with Guten Morgen, this is not a friendly greeting. He shows that he has registered the delay and doesn't like it. So just don't be late for work or school. Use Guten Morgen from 0 to 10 o'clock. Number 2. Guten Abend. Guten Abend. As Guten Morgen, Guten Abend means good and evening, so good evening. As you can easily imagine, this greeting is only used in the evening. You can say this to your friends, but also to strangers you see. If you abbreviate the greeting Guten Abend to Abend, it's a little more casual. You can say Guten Abend or Abend from 6 p.m. to midnight. If there is a Guten Morgen and a Guten Abend, there's got to be something in between. Because what to say from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.? This time is the afternoon. In English, we would say good afternoon. The German translation would be Guten Nachmittag. Guten Nachmittag. Just forget about it. You ask me why? Because you're going to hear that extremely rarely, if not at all. This doesn't sound so bad for foreign speakers. But for German speakers, it sounds just a bit weird. It's best to avoid saying Guten Nachmittag. But what do you say at this time? Nothing? No, there's a greeting for the afternoon. And that brings me to number 3. Guten Tag, Guten Tag. As you already know, Guten means good and Tag means day, so good day. In English, you can't say good day to greet someone. This greeting can be used all day, not only in the afternoon, but also in the morning. Only in the evening, you should change to Guten Abend. There are other variants which are original. But for the first, we focus on those that can be used in all German-speaking countries. Now, we have learned all the greetings starting with Guten. But there's a phrase to say goodbye also starting with Guten. Here, number 4. Gute Nacht, Gute Nacht. And the translation is good night. You can use this when at least one of the person wants to go to sleep. Parents who put their children to bed say this before they leave the room. An ironic variant is Na dann, gute Nacht. In English, well, then good night. If someone says this, it means something like this can get unpleasant. For example, if the tiger has really escaped from the zoo, well, then good night. Na dann, gute Nacht. Let's briefly summarize what we've learned so far. You've learned 3 greetings and a farewell, all starting with Guten. But only one starts with Gute. Later, I will explain to you why it's Gute and not Guten with the letter N. So, Guten Morgen, Guten Morgen, Guten Morgen. Use this from 0 to 10 o'clock. Next, Guten Tag, Guten Tag, Guten Tag. Use this from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Instead of saying Guten Morgen, you can say Guten Tag. Next, Guten Abend, Guten Abend, Guten Abend. Use this from 6 p.m. to midnight. Last but not least, Gute Nacht, Gute Nacht, Gute Nacht. As you can guess, there's no definite time for good night. It's so simple because everyone sleeps at a different time. Usually, you sleep in the evening or at night. That's why it's called Gute Nacht, because it's normally at night. But if someone wants to sleep in the morning, maybe because the person was on night shift or spent the whole night with watching movies or playing computer games, you can still say Gute Nacht. But you really have to admit that this is a funny situation. Because it's morning when everyone starts to get up and you say good night to someone. Yeah, that's a bit special. Let's leave the jokes and come back to the question, why do Guten Morgen, Guten Tag and Guten Abend have at the end of the word Guten the letter N and Gute Nacht not? This is a really good question, and I'm going to give you the right answer. In English, there's only the specific article the. In German, we have 3 different specific articles. Der, die, das. It's too complicated for beginners. In order not to confuse you too much, I'll do it very briefly. Here you can see the specific article and the noun. Der Morgen, der Abend and der Tag, they have the same specific article. Only Nacht has another specific article. And that's the reason why it's Gute Nacht and not Gute Nacht. It's because of the specific article that Nacht has. Now you've learned some greetings and a farewell. Also, you know what they mean and when to use them correctly. If you want to speak a language, you have to speak. Otherwise, you can't learn to speak. Do you want to learn more? Then subscribe for more lessons.